What if I told you that the biggest mistake men make isn't failing to please women, but trying too hard to please them in the first place? This is the first mistake that ancient Stoic philosophers discovered 2,000 years ago, and it's more relevant today than ever. Most men operate from a place of scarcity. They believe that if they don't constantly chase, compliment, and cater to women's every need, they'll lose them forever. But here's the counterintuitive truth. When you stop trying to be everything to everyone, you become irresistible to the right person. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. The same applies to relationships. When you deliberately fail at being the perfect boyfriend material, something magical happens. You filter out those who only want what you can provide, not who you are. This isn't about being cruel or playing games. It's about authentic self-respect. When you're not desperately seeking validation, you naturally become more attractive. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This applies perfectly to modern dating. The paradox is this: the less you need someone, the more they want to be needed by you. The less you chase, the more attractive you become. So the first mistake is this: stop trying to be perfect for everyone. Start being perfect for yourself, and watch how the world responds to your authentic power. The second mistake that will transform your life: deliberately refuse the promotion from single to committed relationship, even when it's offered on a silver platter. Most men see commitment as the ultimate goal, the prize at the end of the dating game. But what if I told you that this prize is actually a trap? Think about it. When you accept that promotion to boyfriend, you're not gaining power, you're giving it away. You're trading your freedom for the illusion of security. Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." When you refuse to end your single life, you refuse to begin your imprisoned life. Here's what happens when you refuse relationship promotion. You maintain your options, your energy, and most importantly, your mystery. Women are attracted to potential, not possession. The moment you become hers, you lose the very quality that made you attractive in the first place. Marcus Aurelius understood this principle. Confine yourself to the present. Don't confine yourself to one person when the present offers infinite possibilities. This isn't about being a player or breaking hearts. It's about being honest. You're not ready to settle because you're still becoming who you're meant to be. The paradox strikes again. The more you refuse to be tied down, the more people want to tie you down. Scarcity creates value, even in relationships. So the second mistake: refuse the promotion to boyfriend. Stay in the position where you have the most power, the position of choice, and watch how desperately the world wants to promote you. The third mistake that will revolutionize your dating life: deliberately let your mind wander during important dates. Yes, you heard that right. Daydream when she expects your full attention. This isn't about being rude or disrespectful. This is about maintaining your inner world when external pressures try to consume it. Marcus Aurelius spent hours in contemplation, even during state meetings. He understood that a man's thoughts are his most valuable possession, not to be given away cheaply. Here's what happens when you refuse to be mentally present on demand. You signal that your thoughts are valuable real estate, not free parking for anyone who wants access. Women are fascinated by what they can't access. When your mind is clearly elsewhere, it becomes the place they most want to be. Epictetus taught that we cannot control others' actions, only our responses. When you refuse to dance to someone else's rhythm, you force them to dance to yours. This mistake teaches you something profound. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Spend it wisely, not desperately. When you're genuinely more interested in your own thoughts than in impressing someone else, you become genuinely interesting. It's not an act, it's authenticity. The paradox reveals itself again. The less present you are for others, the more they want your presence. The more you value your own thoughts, the more others value them too. So the third mistake, let your mind wander to places more interesting than the person in front of you. Your dreams, your goals, your purpose. These are the thoughts worth having. And ironically, this makes you the person worth having. The fourth mistake that will change everything. Deliberately fail at trying to impress. Yes, intentionally bomb when society expects you to shine. Every man has been programmed to believe he must be the peacock. Colorful, loud, performing for female attention. But what if the real power lies in being the eagle, silent, observant, choosing when to strike? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does." Stop performing for an audience that doesn't matter. Here's the counterintuitive truth. When you stop trying to be impressive, you become unforgettable. When you stop competing for attention, you command it. Seneca understood this principle. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Stop craving their approval and discover your wealth. Women are attracted to men who are complete within themselves. When you don't need to prove anything, you prove everything. This isn't about being antisocial or rude. It's about being selective with your energy. When you're not desperate to impress everyone, you naturally impress the right people. Epictetus taught that happiness comes from within, not from external validation. When you stop seeking applause, you start hearing your own voice. The paradox strikes once more. The less you try to be impressive, the more impressive you become. The less you need their validation, the more they want to give it. So the fourth mistake, stop trying to impress and start being impressive to yourself. When you become your own audience, the world becomes your stage. And that's when everyone wants a front row seat. The fifth mistake that will liberate your mind, deliberately refuse to join the emotional networking circus. Yes, consciously avoid the web of relationship drama that most men get trapped in. Think about it. Every group chat about relationships, every gossip session about who's dating whom, every emotional support network, these are all energy vampires disguised as social connections. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does." This applies perfectly to modern relationship networking. Here's what happens when you refuse to be everyone's relationship counselor. You protect your mental bandwidth for things that actually matter: your goals, your growth, your peace. Seneca understood this principle. Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve. Stop associating with emotional chaos. Women are attracted to men who have their own world, not men who live in everyone else's emotional world. When you're not available for every relationship crisis, you become unavailable in the most attractive way. This isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about being selective with your emotional investment. When you stop being everyone's therapist, you start being your own success story. Epictetus taught that we become what we repeatedly do. If you repeatedly engage in relationship drama, you become dramatic. If you repeatedly choose peace, you become peaceful. The paradox emerges again. The less available you are for everyone's emotional needs, the more valuable your emotional availability becomes. Scarcity creates value. even in emotional support. So the fifth mistake: refuse to join the emotional networking circus. Protect your mental bandwidth like a precious resource. When you stop being everyone's emotional dumping ground, you become the solid ground everyone wants to stand on. The sixth mistake that will drive women crazy in the best way: deliberately misunderstand their signals. Yes, consciously choose to be oblivious to their flirtation. Every man has been trained to be a signal-reading machine, to catch every hint, every subtle invitation, every green light. But what if the real power lies in being signal blind? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. When you stop trying to decode every female interaction, you free your mind for more important things." Here's the counterintuitive magic. When you don't chase their signals, they start sending stronger ones. When you don't play their games, they start playing yours. Seneca understood this principle. The willing, destiny guides them. The unwilling, destiny drags them. When you're not desperately willing to catch every signal, destiny brings the right signals to you. Women are fascinated by men they can't read, because most men are open books desperately trying to be read. When you're not trying to decode them, you become the code they're trying to crack. This isn't about being cruel or playing hard to get. It's about being genuinely focused on your own life. When you're not hunting for romantic opportunities, you become the opportunity everyone wants to hunt. Epictetus taught that happiness comes from focusing on what's within our control. When you stop trying to control how women signal to you, you gain control over how you respond to life. The paradox strikes again. The less you try to understand their signals, the more they try to make their signals understood. The more oblivious you are to their games, the more they want to play with you. So the sixth mistake: stop being a signal-reading machine and start being a signal-sending man. When you stop trying to decode their interest, you start encoding your own value, and that's the only signal that truly matters. The seventh and final mistake that will complete your transformation: deliberately become the bad guy in society's fairy tale. Yes, consciously choose to be the villain in their story so you can be the hero in your own. Society has programmed you to be the nice guy, agreeable, accommodating, always seeking approval. But what if I told you that being the bad guy is actually the most virtuous path? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does." When you stop trying to be everyone's hero, you become your own. Here's the revolutionary truth. When you're willing to be disliked for your standards, you become irresistibly attractive to those who share them. When you're the villain to the wrong people, you're the hero to the right ones. Seneca understood this principle. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. To begin living authentically, you must end living for others' approval. Women are attracted to men who have their own moral code, not men who adopt whatever moral code gets them approval. When you're willing to be the bad guy in someone else's story, you become the leading man in your own. This isn't about being cruel, selfish, or harmful. It's about being honest, boundaried, and authentic. Sometimes the most virtuous thing you can do is disappoint people who expect you to compromise your values. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. When you stop judging yourself through others' eyes, you start seeing yourself through your own, and that's when you become truly attractive. The final paradox: the more willing you are to be the villain in their story, the more you become the hero in reality. The more you disappoint the wrong people, the more you inspire the right ones. So the seventh and final mistake: become the bad guy in everyone else's story so you can be the hero in your own. When you stop trying to be perfect for everyone, you become perfect for yourself. And that's when everyone wants to be perfect for you. These 7 mistakes aren't really mistakes at all. They're the ancient secrets that Stoic philosophers discovered 2,000 years ago, disguised as modern dating advice. The real secret isn't about rejecting women, it's about choosing yourself first. When you become your own first choice, you become everyone else's first choice too. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 30 days, try these 7 mistakes. Stop pleasing, stop chasing, stop performing. Start choosing yourself. If this video changed how you see relationships, drop clarity in the comments. Subscribe if you're ready to become the man you were meant to be. And remember, the strongest man is the one who needs no one, and that's exactly why everyone needs him. The journey to true strength begins with a single choice. Choose yourself first.